So these are all of my curated palettes. I have downsized my palette collection a bit, and this is what I have left. This is mainly going to be a palette collection video, but I might declutter some shadows along the way, so let's get into it. The first thing in here is this Naked palette. This is my oldest palette, and despite that, this is still brand new. I like this palette because it's just very neutral. I can wear it for special occasions or for everyday. Not that I wear eyeshadows every day, but when I like to have something on my eyes, I usually go for neutral. So I'm going to keep this and I like it. I don't like the fact that this is mostly shimmers, but this is what it is, and I'm going to use up what I want to use in this collection. Okay, then another palette is this Anastasia Prism palette. This is full of metallics and colorful shadows, but still with some neutral colors like this one. For special occasions, I usually tend to go for these three colors just because they're neutrals. But when I'm feeling a bit more colorful, I usually wear all of these metallics as a colorful liner. So upon seeing this does not look like a everyday palette, but this is a good palette, and the formula of Anastasia is really amazing. And this is the Zoeva Coco Blonde palette. I got this from Sephora, and this is just a mixture of warm tones and colorful shadows. These three right here, these are very dark, and I don't really wear dark eyeshadows much, and I don't wear bright colors, so I tend to just go for this, and because of that I'm thinking of decluttering it. But then again, I love the shade. This is the formula of Zoeva shimmers are not really metallic or blingy. They're usually more subtle, but this shade right here is comparable to Anastasia shadows and also ColourPop shadows, but this one is very chalky. So as you can see, this is nothing compared to how metallic this is. So for that, I'm thinking of decluttering this, but then again, this is such a good eyeshadow, so this is what's stopping me from decluttering it. So basically, I don't wear these shades, but I wear these shades. So yeah, that's what's keeping me from decluttering this. But this one, I just might declutter. This is the Zoeva Rose Golden palette, and this is full of shimmers. I just don't really wear shimmers, and if I do wear shimmers, I'd rather wear my Anastasia shimmers or my ColourPop shimmers, or as I mentioned, this one. I don't tend to go for Zoeva shimmers just because they're very subtle. If you work in an office and you want to wear shimmers, but you don't want your shimmers to be too metallic, too bold, then Zoeva shimmers is perfect for you because they're very subtle. Like this one, this is such a good color, and it's shimmery, but if you compare the two, this is very subtle. It's not as metallic as this one. So yeah, and the matte, I prefer mattes, but the mattes in here, these two, especially this one, it's very cool tone. It's on the verge of being, oh my gosh, this is on the verge of being shimmery, of being cool toned, and cool tones just don't work for my skin tone. So I just might declutter this. What's keeping me from decluttering this is, of course, I got this. I spent my money on this. So if I declutter this, it's just like I decluttered the money that I bought this for. But then again, I just found a women's shelter that I can donate slightly used products. So I just might declutter this and give it to them. But I do like this luster shade. This is a good setting powder. This is also a good darkening shade, but then again, I already have a lot of setting shadows and darkening shadows in my other palettes that it's not worth keeping the whole palette just for these two basic colors. So I am going to declutter this. This is my Dream Street palette from Colourpop, and as you can see, it's been used and abused. So I've already hit pan on this, and I love the shadows. I love Colourpop formula, but this one is just on another level. It's much better. The formula of this one, of their later palettes, is much better than the ones that they released earlier, like the Yes Please palette, the Give It To Me Straight palette, the You Had Me at Hello palette, that I decluttered a long time ago. So I have Dream Street left. I don't really wear warm colors, but sometimes I'll do like playing with makeup. That's why I'm keeping this. And then this one, this is the You Had Me at Hello palette, but I decluttered some of the shadows and I made it into a Z palette because it has a mirror. So this is what it looks like. I removed the foam, and this is what I'm left with, and the shadows in here are all from my decluttered Colourpop palettes, such as the You Had Me at Hello palette and the All I See Is Magic palette. So these small shadows are all a combination of my Colourpop decluttered palettes. This one is Bel Air, which is a single shadow from Colourpop. Okay, so I'm going to keep this just because Colourpop shadows are all magnetic, so I usually sometimes interchange some of the palettes. It looks like I'm playing with a new palette every time I switch up the color, so I'm not going to declutter this, but I just might declutter one shadow. It's this one. This is a copper shade, and I already have a lot of copper shades. This is also a copper shade. And I just prefer I prefer the formula of this one, and I don't need a lot of copper shades. So I'm going to declutter this one. I just might declutter this as well. It's a gold shade, which is very similar to the one from the Cocoa Blend palette. And the Cocoa Blend palette has a bit more oomph to it, so I'm going to declutter this one. This is a duochrome, and I don't really wear greens, but then again, sometimes before I take off my makeup, I play with shadows, and I usually play with greens, so I just might keep that. But it's a beautiful duochrome. It's just that I don't wear it because it's too dark. I don't wear dark shadows. I'm going to keep that for now, simply because I want to play with it some more. So that's it. I decluttered 2 shadows from this Z palette. And then the last one in here is this I Think I Love You palette. And this is such a good bronzy palette. I like the metallics in here. But I might declutter some shadows in here and just replace them with some of the colors that are in this Z palette. Mainly this black, because as I mentioned, I don't really wear dark colors. And I already have a black color here on my Anastasia, so I don't need to have 2 similar shades that I don't really wear. So I'm going to declutter this and just replace it with another one. So this is what I mentioned with Colourpop palettes. You can depot it because they are all magnetic. So I'm going to declutter this. And another one is this one. It's this icy white cool toned shadow. This is perfect for an inner corner highlight. It's just that I don't do inner corner highlights. I have very oily skin and I usually highlight my cheeks anymore. So if I highlight my inner corners, it just looks too done. It just looks too shiny. It just makes me look extra oily. And if I'm going to highlight my inner corner, I'm not going to use a stark cool toned white shimmer just because it does not match my skin color. So I'm going to depot this as well. I'm debating depotting this one just because this is, I like golds, but I don't like this type of golds where it's like cool tone greenish gold. Really debating decluttering this one, but then again, sometimes, as I mentioned, I play with shadows and this is a perfect match for this one. This complements this color, so I am a little bit hesitant. Let's see. I'm going to keep this for now, but I might depot it and replace it with another one, and I'm also thinking of decluttering this one just because the color is nice, but the formula is a bit drier. But yeah, you know what? I'll just gonna keep it and I'll just declutter it sometime when I'm really sure of decluttering this. So for now, I'm just going to declutter 2 shades from the palette and I'm just going to replace them with something. This is from the All I See Is Magic palette, Twinkle Toes, and this is a good bronze gold shimmer, which I think complements the whole bronze palette of the I Think I Love You. So I'm going to put it in here. And then this is a cool tone brown, so sometimes it just tends to pull a bit too cool tone for me. So I am going to put a warm transition shade in here. So for now, this is what the palette looks like. But again, as I mentioned, I usually rotate the shadows when I feel like it. Sometimes I put all of the greens in here with the yellows and the oranges. Sometimes I put all of my copper and gold in here. Sometimes I put all of the mattes here, the shimmers in here. So yeah, I'm going to just keep it. So out of all of my 7 palettes, I'm keeping 3. So the Zoeva, Anastasia, Naked, my Z palette, Dream Street, and I Think I Love You. So I'm keeping this. And I am decluttering this. I'm decluttering I'm decluttering the whole Zoeva Rose Golden palette. And I also decluttered these 4 single shadows, 2 of which were from my Z palette, and these are from my I Think I Love You palette. So I'd just like to reiterate that there's nothing wrong with the shadows. It's just that I have other shadows in my collection that I wear more than these, and some of these are duplicates. So I don't really need to have a lot of shadows since I don't really wear them much. So these are all going to be decluttered. So since this is a whole palette, I'm going to donate it. But since these 3 are all single shadows, I'm just going to throw them out. So these are all of my keep palettes. This is my decluttered shadows. So thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you in my next video. Bye bye.